Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Bob Pompeani. A lot to get into. It's U.S. Open week for the 10th time in the history of the event. It's coming here to Oakmont. We'll talk about that and have some predictions. Also, how close are the Pittsburgh Pirates to actually competing and contending? But the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, of course, will be Aaron Rodgers. We've been talking about it all summer long, spring long, and now it's finally here. Here to discuss, Jeff Hatthorn, 93.7 The Fan, the man in charge, the sports director, Mark Kaboly from the Pat McAfee Show, and yes, he's here, unlike last week, and then Ray Fittipaldo from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. I owe you one, Mark, so thanks for being a good sport about that, because I double booked and I had too many people here, and he was the one.
It's only apology number 42.
That's right. You know, I'm that kind of guy. All right, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. Ray, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Wow, you don't start with Mark after you didn't allow him on the show?
All right, Mark, we'll start with you. Now, Ray will be mad. I'll have to apologize to him. Mark, I'll start with you. So he comes in here now. It hasn't really moved all that much in terms of, you know, the odds. And I don't know if that was baked in ahead of time because everybody knew it might happen. But what is the ceiling with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback at age 41?
I don't think we know. I mean, we're going to have to see him go out there and perform right now. But as we sit here right now, I think the potential is higher than it's been for a while. I think the unknown factor that he brings along, is he going to be the Aaron from the second half of last year? Is he going to be a 4-time MVP? Is he going to be a guy that could get him into the playoffs and then take that next stop? Or is he going to turn into a 41-year-old right now? 41-year-old with a bad
soon to be
Achilles.
42-year-old.
So we don't know what he's going to be able to perform on the field yet, but I think by far since maybe the year before Ben retired, it's the best quarterback situation they've been in.
Yeah, Mark, you make a good point. When the Steelers saw him at Acrisure in October, he wasn't very good that night, but he was better in the second half of the season. And I think your ceiling with Mason Rudolph, if he was QB1, was probably 8, 9, maybe 10 wins. I think this takes the Steelers to 11, maybe 12 wins if the defense can be as good as it has been.
That's another question we should get into in a little bit. We will, because some of the biggest problems last year were on defense. We talked so much about quarterback, but your take, Jeff.
I agree with Mark. I want to see him in a Steeler offense. I want to see how well he moves. I mean, what do those throws look like as a Steeler? And do the Steelers, help him out? And is the offensive line what it needs to be? Do they have a running game? Is DK Metcalf, all of that? Does somebody else come up as an option? But I'll say this. He lost 12 games. 7 of those were one-score games. And he had 2 really bad games. One was the Steeler game, and one was Minnesota, where he had 3 picks. Other than that, the numbers, he threw for almost 4,000 yards. He was, 6th in the league in touchdown passes, tied with Jared Allen. It was Josh Allen. Jared Allen will be a story. But, I don't – let's see. I understand the thought process. Let's see what this guy does at 41. Maybe he will be one of those guys that can have a big year.
Ray, I want to ask you, though. Go ahead. Do you have something else
I was going to say, how dysfunctional were the Jets, too, with that whole coaching situation out there? You got the owner's son, in the analytics department. It was a bad situation. I think the Steelers have a better culture to.
But let's not forget, Aaron Rodgers is part of the problem too. He had brought in his own hand-picked coordinator at one point, which leads me to this question, Ray: can he and Arthur Smith coexist? In that, Aaron Rodgers likes it his way. Can he just do what the offense demands, or will he say, "Hey, no, I need to do it this way"?
Yeah, listen, these guys are down there every day with me. Arthur Smith was very conservative and constrictive with what he allowed Russell Wilson and Justin Fields to do at the line of scrimmage. But you don't go out and acquire Aaron Rodgers and wait 2.5 months on him to not let him be Aaron Rodgers. That's the reason you're going out to get him. So I expect, full capabilities at the line of scrimmage, getting in and out of bad plays to good plays. I think that's going to be key, and that's going to be different from what we saw last year.
I think there's going to have to be a lot of give and take with Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers. It seemed like the last year, or at least last year, there was a lot of take by Arthur Smith, but not much give.
How much give can he get?
He has to. Like Ray said, you have to be able to allow this guy to be Aaron Rodgers to a degree, at least. I'm not saying there should be checks at the line of scrimmage now, right? Something we haven't seen in years now. Yeah. There should be able to, a guy to be able to do what he wants and put his plays in
but Russell Wilson was a veteran also who did it for a long period of time. Why would you restrict him?
You're talking about Russell.
Yeah, I mean, if he's the same kind of guy in terms of his profile.
I think the resume is a little bit better on Aaron Rodgers.
I'm not going to dispute that, but I'm saying he's a veteran who's been around the block a lot.
Something must have happened.
Yeah.
For them
So the
to
question to me is Arthur going to allow it? Is Tomlin going to allow it? I mean, we've seen a couple of coordinators now where it's been pretty conservative. So what's the one steady in having a couple of coordinators and seeing conservative offense? The head coach. Is Mike Tomlin going to just hand the offense over to Aaron Rodgers? And I think there's some potential residual good effects that could, play out over the next few years if Rodgers goes out as aggressive and, oh my goodness, look, this works when we're aggressive instead of playing passive like they did a lot last year.
The other thing, Ray, is they still need a number 2 receiver. They brought in Gabe Davis. That doesn't seem to have worked, or I don't know what's the holdup there. There are other guys out there. They had George Pickens. They decided to let him go, trade him. What about number 2? They need more, or do you think they're okay where they are?
They definitely need more. I think you have to, I don't want to say appease Aaron Rodgers, but I think you have to try to make him happy and somebody he feels comfortable working with. Now, people are connecting the dots with the Jets and Alan Lazard because he was with Aaron in both Green Bay and New York. If you can get him, guys, for 5th or a 6th round pick, I would be on board with that. But you also mentioned Gabe Davis. Keenan Allen is still out there. Amari Cooper is still out there. So there's some older, talented, productive receivers who might have seen their better days, but they still have a resume and they still might fit in this offense.
One thing they can't do is fall into the trap they did last year and think that their wide receivers are good enough with the Van Jeffersons and everybody else of the world right here. So you're talking about Alan Lazard. Let's shoot a little bit higher than that maybe. And Keenan Allen I thought would fit perfectly there in a possession type receiver where you could use him. But you can't wait. You can't wait till August. You can't wait till September. You got to get this done now. I know Jeff would love to have Terry McLaurin here, but that's shooting for the stars, right?
And
that's not going to happen. I mean, and Bobby Trees.
Nice, but that costs a lot.
Robert Woods has been good. I know I had to because for one time. But Woods has been okay, but I would rather him be a 3 or give Roman a chance to be a 3 and have Woods be a 4. I think he's a good add to the room, but I don't know if now that you have Aaron Rodgers and listen. We've probably known that this was going to happen. There's probably some kind of thought process, at least, if not initial plan of, okay, here are the guys that Aaron really wants to add to that room.
All right, we're going to take a break, but we are not done with the Steeler conversation because coming up next, we're going to talk about maybe Roman Wilson. How important is he in this offense? We didn't see him all of last year. The tackles and T.J. Watt. Will he be here? Aaron Rodgers is going to speak on Tuesday. Are we going to see T.J. Watt in town? It's all next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, once again, Aaron Rodgers speaks on Tuesday. T.J. Watt, last time we went through this kind of holdout or whatever you want to call it, contract negotiations, he did show up for minicamp. Then there was a hold in and everything pushed all the way into September. So, Jeff, I want to ask you this. Do you expect him here this week? If so, what do you think he'll say, and how long do you think it'll take before a deal is done or not?
I think it'll look a lot like 4 years ago. I think he'll be here. I think he'll hold in, meaning he goes through individual work but not team drills, and we'll probably wait until at some point during camp or maybe even to the point when they're on the south side.
Yeah, I don't think he'll speak. Oh, well, first of all, he will show up. I would be shocked. If not, then you got to start worrying a little bit because everybody shows up to minicamp. I know they wouldn't find him, but everybody shows up to minicamp. I don't anticipate him actually addressing the contract publicly. I think he's going to keep that. He's not going to go out there and do a Trey Hendrickson or anything to that point. But I think it's the same thing. If it's in the training camp, if it's into the preseason, who really cares? Yeah. Last time it happened, Ray, 22.5 sacks.
Yeah, Defensive Player of the Year.
And he signed 48 hours before that game in Buffalo. So, yeah, listen, T.J. Watt wants to be a Steeler. He hasn't talked since January. This will be actually the first time he's talked since locker cleanout day. But he said then he wants to be a Steeler. Omar and Art have repeatedly said they want him to be a Steeler. So, Bob, it's going to get done. It's just a matter of the timeline. If you look at Steelers history, only Minka, I think Alex Highsmith and Pouncey were done around minicamp in June. Everybody else is late August, September, right before the season.
Yeah, and the question becomes how much is too much? We've seen the market move, Jeff. We saw Max Crosby cash in, then we saw Myles Garrett cash in. A lot of people think that pay grade is maybe too much. Do you?
No, I don't, because even though he didn't have the sack numbers, he was still top 10, still led the NFL in fumbles forced, Like, he's still a force out there. And to your point, though, every day he gets more expensive because there's a chance Micah signs. There's a chance. What if the Bengals have an about face on Hendrickson? Like, it's not like the Steelers are going to wait and the price is going to go down.
Right.
Yeah, what are they, 1-9 when TJ doesn't play? I know he hasn't won a playoff game, but they don't lose much. They don't win much when he's not in there. I think a lot's going to have to do with guaranteed money over those first 2 years. I don't think the overall number of $40 million of Myles Garrett is going to make much of a difference, whatever. He probably wants 2 guaranteed years again.
Yeah.
If it's a tad bit less than 40, but he wants that security and that guaranteed money through 2, if I was assuming.
And Omar has shown a willingness to do contracts in a little bit different manner than Kevin Colbert, so I think he's willing to do that, and I think like I said, I think it'll happen. But like Mark said, I think the guaranteed money is going to be the big aspect of it.
All right, you guys were all there for OTAs. They just wound up, only 6, not 9. But I want to get your impressions on 2 people, Roman Wilson and Troy Fautanu. Jeff, back to you on these 2 guys. What have you seen, and what are your expectations?
I don't know if I've ever seen a receiver. Well, very few receivers look bad in shorts. Most of the time, receivers look great in shorts. I mean, Roman Wilson's been good. He's been saying the right things. He's staying late after practice, to work on things. You like that. Fautanu, I think he's shown off some of the athleticism. Again, without being in pads, I think he's going to be fine on the right side.
Yeah, those are 2 guys that you need big seasons from, and everything that his first 6 practices, I don't see why, or at least on Fautanu's spot. But I could see him. I mean, if there was a such thing as player of the year on the offensive line, it's going to be him for the Steelers. I mean, you could tell that he just
Not Broderick Jones?
No, they need a big year from him, a big effort from him. But Fautanu, I'm not worried about him. He's going to be a star.
Yeah.
And Roman Wilson, we're only down to 2 Wilsons now, right? Roman Wilson he's transformed his body, and I think he gets it mentally now. Now that we have to wait till he gets on the field and actually participates in games to make an ultimate decision, but he's really caught your eye in that first 2 weeks.
Yeah, listen, Troy Fautanu was their best lineman when he got hurt last year. He's going to be their best lineman if he's healthy. And watch out for Zach Frazier this year. I know a lot of people say about Pro Football Focus, but Pro Football Focus has him as their number 3 center in all of the NFL. So he had a great rookie season.
Yeah, no question. I mean, he plays like that, he'll be one of those all-pro guys we talk about.
And I'd say quickly, Caleb Johnson, I mean,
yeah,
he looks good in shorts, and he is soaking up everything that they're telling him.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back a little later, we're going to talk about the U.S. Open, your expectations there. It's coming up this week. But first, the Pirates. How close are they to winning? Paul Skeen says they're close. What do you think, and what do they think? We'll talk about it next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Pirates did something they haven't done all year, which is sweep a team, and that team happened to be the Philadelphia Phillies, and they did it by not scoring a lot of runs, but man, the pitching was outstanding, and it was again today, Paul Skeens. But, he was on the Fan 5-alarm marathon there, Jeff, on 93.7 The Fan, and he said something interesting, that he believes sincerely that they are close. They're 26-40. But you can make a case with all their pitching that if they had any hitting, they would have been close, at least to a wild card, maybe a division. It's not a great division. Do you believe they're close?
I believe in the full thing he said as well, which was they need to make changes, but they are close. If they can make some changes, bring in a couple of bats.
They knew that last offseason, and they didn't do it.
Well, you're right. But I'm saying if that happens, then yeah. I mean, look at these last few games. When they get they have the pitching that can keep them in almost every game. It's just, can they scratch across? I mean, he lost 2 8-inning performances where he gave up 1 run. He lost them.
Every single time they put a couple wins together, we're talking about, is this team close? Unless they get talent on the offensive side of the ball, you're going to have these couple of games where they could be able to squeak out and sweep the Phillies. They're not close. They have to add bats, and they're not going to do it. So I say no.
In this offseason, let's say in this offseason, the same situation exists, and maybe better, because Bubba Chandler should be up pretty soon. You're going to tell me they're not going to recognize that? And if not, then that's complete malpractice.
You're going to tell me that why wouldn't they have done it this year then?
Well, they should have. I'm saying that's malpractice right there. And if they do it again, that's even double malpractice. And where does that lead you, Ray? I have no idea. I mean, that's
Double secret.
Double secret.
I mean, listen,
come on. It's pretty obvious they need hitting.
With Chandler on the way, you can actually afford to trade Falter and or Heaney. And what
or
do you
Keller
get?
Even.
And what do you get at the trade deadline? You get a couple of major league bats or guys who will be ready next year to come up and help you, because that's what you need. You do have the pitching to backfill if you want to replace those guys or trade those guys, but you have to get some bats, and they got to be major league ready.
Right.
And the way to do that is trade some of the starting pitching. Even if it hurts a little bit, trade some of your stuff.
Well, they have a surplus, so why not? You got guys like Connor Griffin, but he's way down the road. He just got promoted to high A, and he's been terrific. But who else is coming up? Nobody in their system.
No,
right?
I mean, maybe Tamar Johnson, he's had some bits and pieces of doing some things. A guy named Will Taylor, but he's in low A. Listen, they're counting on Charrington at the trade deadline to pull something out. And, I mean, he's getting a last opportunity here to show, and they do have some assets, including in the pen. There are some teams that need bullpen help. And in Bednar and Santana, they've got a couple of pieces.
Ray, I've been saying for a long time that Henry Davis needs to play almost every day. I've said that at the beginning of the season. Now, injuries have afforded him that chance. We see advancement in his offensive game. What's your position? If Bart's healthy and Andy Rodriguez is healthy and he's healthy, who do you play?
You got to play him. He's your #1 pick from a few years back. That home run he hit was 2 or 3 inches off the plate. He just stuck his bat out there, but he has so much power, Bob. He gets his hands extended. He's probably one of their best hitters if he could ever get hot. So I think, yeah, you got to play him. Unfortunate for Bart when he comes back and Rodriguez, but I want to see what this guy can do.
Wasn't this the guy last year they wouldn't even sniffed behind the plate?
Because they thought he was not good defensively, but look how he's progressed.
Well, he had a 215 slugging last year.
Well, I'm even talking about just defensively and how he's a star, a budding star defensively. How can you be so wrong on that as an organization? But even if you don't, I mean, there's ways around that. I mean, you can put him at DH if you need to for a game or two. I would like to see him to go to first base. Give him a couple reps there as well. But
he's their best defensive catcher. I think he's
I'm just saying when Bart needs to come in, you can move him around so he could play every day, like you said.
The way you hear John Wayner describe it is like he went into this rabbit hole of listening to all these people and got his swing all mixed up, and now he's back to where he was in college, just with quick hands.
So and you said forget everything.
Yes, yes.
Too many people.
You remember
this
how
is
many
like
times?
Golf, too many people in your head.
Right.
You
and
can't
how many
pull the
times do
trigger.
you remember seeing him hit the ball hard foul?
Yeah.
Well, now he's able to hit it to right center field and able to get some hits that way.
All right, we're due for a break. When we come back, U.S. Open. I want to hear what these guys think about the winning score and who may be the winner as we begin the 2025 U.S. Open at Oakmont on Thursday. That's next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, last time the U.S. Open was here, 2016, only 4 players ended up under par. The winner was Dustin Johnson, -4. 3 others were -1. That was it. If you go back over time, Jeff, as you know, most of the winning scores are plus. So what do you think will be the winning score? It's been raining, yes, but it should dry out by Thursday. What do you think?
I think +2 is going to be the winning score. I think it's going to be in that range because I think the rough is going to be so thick because of all the rain, but yet the greens are going to have time to dry out.
I think everybody will be over par except one guy will run away with it. And I don't even
Run away?
I don't even have to say his name.
You're going to go on the Scheffler thing, but
I mean, of course.
why would you do that?
Why
you
would
make
I?
no money if you bet on him.
It doesn't matter. That's like picking against Tiger Woods during his heyday. You
All
just
right,
go.
if you think it's that simple,
But
maybe, and you might be right.
I think he's going to have such a big advantage over everybody else, and he's going to take his aura to a different level because he's going to beat everybody by 4, 5, 6 strokes.
Yeah, listen, if the greens are firm, I agree with Jeff. You'll probably see a lot of the top players +1, +2. But if Scheffler's playing well, I think you could see even par win the tournament.
Yeah.
Here's a little note. Scheffler played his very first time at Oakmont in 2016 as an amateur. He led after 1 round and then shot 78 after that and fell out of it. But, all right, give me another name besides him because I'm going to give you one that you may not pick, but it's a guy who's won in the past, Lucas Glover. Straight hitter when he's on, knows how to putt. He's been around. Nobody will bet on him, so I'm going to go out on a limb and say he could contend. Do you? What do you think, Jeff?
I think Bryson, because Bryson, when he misses by a lot, and he might miss where the fans were and trampled down rough and and he's a really good scrambling player. I mean, he scrambles really well. I think Bryson.
I was going to say the same thing, but you pretty much took it in depth for me there, Jeff. I'm thinking he's going to.
No Rory from you? You don't like Rory? You like favorites? He's still one of them.
I like Bryson.
He hasn't played well though.
But I've told you, it's still not even going to be close. But
Bryson did a practice round May 31st when it was really cold and chilly out. The greens were a little bit different then. He's expecting it to play much faster. So I think Bryson will be in it. I just don't know if he'll be able to challenge.
Shane Lowry was in it last time until late in the tournament.
He shot 6 over in the final day, and that's where
And he's been hanging around the last couple of weeks, so he would be someone
What'd
to
you shoot
watch
out
for
there,
too.
Pomp?
99 and then 84. I was proud of the 84.
I don't think I would have made the cut.
No, of course you wouldn't.
Wow.
I had all sorts of problems the first time. That's the problem with
This
that
is
place,
Mark's
Ray.
revenge
If you
tour
go
on
in,
you, Bob.
that's right. He can do it. If you go in those bunkers, you know they have over 200 bunkers. People talk about the rough, and that's fair, and the greens, and that's fair. But the bunkers come into play, and when they do, Jeff, you know, you've been in some of those big ones, I'm sure.
I have.
It's hard to get out of them, and you know, put the ball close on the
Grab it
green.
and throw it up.
Okay. All right, we'll find out how it goes. But I know this: it's going to be a fun event, and I've never seen how so many. Just these big monstrous buildings on the course. It used to be just a tent, you know, for like a hospitality tent. Now they're 3-story buildings and they cost a lot of money, and man, the price of poker has gone up in golf. And speaking of number one, because I know if you think that your number one pick is Scheffler like Mark, well, you're going to have this to think about. If your name is number one, then you always bring your A game. Will Scheffler do that? I know one team that does. It's number one Cochran. They do it every day. With 2 convenient locations in Monroeville and Butler County, more than 200 new models in stock, and all-star offers for every budget and every lifestyle. Drive home a winner when you visit number one Cochran Subaru or shop online at CochranSubaru.com, CochranSubaruButler.com. All right, it's been fun. We are done. Thanks for joining us tonight. Remember, Aaron Rodgers speaks on Tuesday, U.S. Open all week. We got you covered here on KDKA-TV. Thank you, gentlemen. See you next week.